We've sued just recently, well, not recently, this week, 2 new lawsuits over the gamesmanship with James Comey. Now, of course, you know, if you go, and I've said this before because we have a prior lawsuit on this, if you're a public official like James Comey working for the FBI, you're supposed to submit manuscripts for pre-publication review. And when you make those manuscripts available, the government can tell you can't publish this because there's classified information or these documents that you aren't allowed to have access to or publicize. And we want to know how that happened with James Comey, because evidently these memos, which he wasn't allowed to have, were used as the basis for this book. And we had significant experience with this process, and we know what it's like, and we know what people have gone through previously, especially those that the FBI or Justice Department or the particular agency that has jurisdiction doesn't like. But James Comey, it looks like, got a special deal. So now we have 2 lawsuits asking for documents about this process in getting this book approved. Was Comey given a free pass to publish anything he wanted, despite the rules and regulations that would have restricted anyone else in the FBI from doing so? That's the question we have. And secondly, how were these memos handled with respect to Robert Mueller? Because Comey says he turned them over to Mueller. I want to know how that went on. Were they improperly funneled to Mueller? Was there collusion improperly between Mueller and James Comey? We've asked for documents, and you know what they've given us? You know what the answer was? They gave us a GLOMAR response. Go up and look up GLOMAR. GLOMAR is a response that means that they can't confirm or deny it, which is an extraordinarily interesting position to take about a request for information about whether or not James Comey and Mueller were collaborating improperly. This is the request we had. All records of communications between former FBI Director James Comey and Special Counsel Robert Mueller, or members of Special Counsel Mueller's investigative committee, relating to the return of memoranda of conversations, memoranda to the file or notes regarding the same generated by Comey following conversations with government officials during his tenure as FBI Director. In other words, we're asking for the Comey memos and how he communicated the information in them to Mr. Mueller. And the FBI, as I said they can't confirm or deny. And we asked this back in August of last year. August of last year, folks. And so they've been stonewalling on the book documents. They've been stonewalling on the Comey memos themselves. Thankfully, Congress got some of them out. We don't know if these are all the memos. Congress can't be assured these are all the memos. There's no way Congress can be assured these are all the memos. They're stonewalling us on the Strzok Page text. They're stonewalling us on the McCabe text. I told you a few weeks ago the FBI found 16,000 plus pages of documents of Director Comey's, the former FBI Director Comey. And they told us they needed over 3 years to turn them over. 3 years. So we since then have figured out a way to cut back the number of documents we want to see first. We want to see them all, obviously, but there are some that may be more important in the public interest than others. So we've cut it back. We said just figure out how to get these 8,000 documents. And the response is you'll get those if you want 8,000. It will take us 16 months to process and turn them over to you. 16 months to review 8,000 pages of documents that, frankly speaking, can be reviewed in a few weeks. What this is today's FBI that doesn't want to provide any information about any corruption the FBI is involved in, let alone James Comey's at the center of the storm here. And I want to talk a little bit more about this dossier too, because Comey has made a big deal about this meeting that took place where he shared the contents, actually only a portion of the contents of the Clinton campaign DNC-funded dossier. He shared that with President Trump in an ambush meeting a meeting that was orchestrated in President Obama's Oval Office with the top national security officials at the Justice Department, in his administration. Comey was there, President Obama was there, I think Rice was there, Brennan was there, Clapper was there. And in these memos, he tells Trump, I need to tell you about this prostitute thing because it looks like CNN may have the records and they're looking for a news hook. And guess what the news hook turned out to be that resulted in the publication of these outrageous allegations against President Trump? Comey's briefing of the president, of Mr. Trump. I don't know if he was president-elect at the time. So someone leaked it. Probably someone who was in that Oval Office meeting. Now Clapper, who works for CNN, according to the House Intelligence Committee, has given inconsistent testimony about his communications with CNN. I don't know if that means he's the leaker, but there needs to be an investigation into the leaking here. I mean, this whole dossier that Trump was confronted with by Comey, remember, Comey set up the meeting in a way that only he and Trump were in the room. And then he complains later about meetings that Trump wanted privately with him, even though he set up the first meeting to be private. Unbelievable. What a scandal is going on. What a scandal this is. It's one thing for it to happen during the Obama administration and then be cleaned up, but it hasn't been cleaned up. The deep state, as I said, the frozen in place leadership at DOJ and FBI are allowing it to continue. And it leads to more victims.